Greetings and welcome to Parsing John. Today we're taking a look at a comparison between our Latin text of verse 32 through 34 and our Greek text to see how well the Latin matches up. In the previous video, verses 29 through 31 in the Latin did not do very well. We had two imperfect tense verbs when we wanted a pluperfect tense and a aorist, or well, the Latin equivalent of aorist tense, so the Latin perfect tense. And then we had the strange use of the preposition de when the preposition pro would have been a closer fit to the idea of what was going on in the Greek. Let's go ahead and take a look at these two. And John witnessed, saying that, let's stop right there. And John held or cited testimony, saying, take a look at the two texts together. As we've seen before, the way that Latin has the word for witness, it uses perhibuit and testimonium, whereas Greek just has the verb martureo. So these two fit together. We've got a perfect tense and aorist tense. Same tenses, roughly speaking, between the two languages, so that's good. Then we've got saying as a present active participle and saying as a present active participle. In Greek, we've got hoti to introduce the direct statement here, but Latin, we don't have anything, except for perhaps quia, which I realize now I put in quote marks in here, but we didn't in that one. Not sure what to do with this word or that word, really, in those two, but so far so good. Let's move on. I saw the Spirit descending as a dove from heaven, comma. I saw the Spirit descending just as a dove from heaven. Take a look at the two. Tetheamai is perfect tense, and we've got perfect tense in vidi, which is good. Spiritum, pneuma, singular. Katabainon is the present active participle, and we've got present active participle here in diskede, that word that I can't say. Just as and hos, those two words give the same idea here, so that's good. Dove, dove, down from heaven, perfect match so far. And it remained on him, and it remained above or over him. So epi and super here, giving the roughly the same ideas. Latin could technically have used in, though that might not have been quite the right one, since the Greek equivalent of that is, of course, en, epsilon, nu. Super seems like a decent choice to give the idea of what's going on in the Greek. Let's continue. And I had not known him. And I was not knowing him, or I used to not know him. So here, just as we had in the previous text, it's the same sentence again, essentially, and I used to not know him. And we've also got essentially the same text in Greek with, where did it go? Lost my spot. Aidane right there, and previously, where is it on here? There we go, Aidane. So, yet again, the Latin does not match the Greek, but at least the Latin is consistent to itself. Let's move on. But who sent me to baptize in water? That one to me said. But the one having sent me to baptize in water, that one said to me. Take a look at the two. We've got pimpsas as a participle. It's aorist tense. And here we've got a relative clause, who sent me. And these two, as we discussed in the last video, a participial phrase and a relative clause in Latin are basically the same thing. You can use one or the other depending on, well, how many words you want involved in it. There might be a slightly different sense in there, but if there is, that's beyond my level of understanding for the language. So no problem here using the perfect misit and qui to get the idea of pimpsas here. So that's perfectly fine. To baptize, present active infinitive in water. That one, the one farther away, kenos and ile, are basically the same word in the two different languages, so that's good. To me, indirect object, and indirect object right there. Said, perfect tense, and then aorist tense here. So far, so good. Let's see. Go far down. Okay. on whom you may see the Spirit descending and remaining on him. And then back up here. Over or above whom you shall have seen, or you may have seen, the Spirit descending and remaining over or above him. So take a look at these two. Keep losing my space. On him, super him. It's the same way that was used before, so that's fine. You may see we've got the pluperfect. Did I write down? Oh, then that means I translated this probably incorrect. You may have seen. Oops. And then we've got the either perfect tense or future perfect. Future perfect clearly doesn't make any sense in this context, which means that the subjunctive is the correct one right here, since the Greek is using the subjunctive. And if this isn't stuttering there. If I identified this one correctly, then we would technically want to have the pluperfect tense also in here, but it's not too big of a change. It's still decent. You may have seen versus, well, they sound the same in English because Greek has the optative, and optative is normally what we translate with the word might, whereas in Latin, pluperfect, we use the word might. But anyway, they're close enough, so it's not too bad of an issue. The Spirit descending, present active participle. Spirit descending, present active participle. And remaining, present active participle again, present active participle. Over him, on him. So far, so good. This one is the one baptizing in the Holy Spirit. That's me, the Latin above the Greek. This is who baptizes in Holy Spirit. Compare these two together. We've got a third person singular present active indicative verb. And then in the Greek, we have present active participle. So we've got the relative pronoun right there, and est. We've got our close demonstrative and our close demonstrative right here. So those are good. In the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit. Those two match up fine so far. Verse 34. And I saw and witnessed, and it continued until now as the sense with the tense of the verb, that or because this one is the Son of the God. And in the Latin, and I saw or have seen, and held testimony, because this one is the Son of God. Jerome here again is taking quia, for hoti, the word that I didn't know what to do with. So he's staying consistent still. We've got est, present tense, estin, present tense. We've got our perfect tense of witnessing, and then we've got perfect tense also here for witnessing, so that's pretty good. Perfect tense, perfect tense. All of our verbs match up. Verse 34 looks perfectly fine to me. And there we go. We've taken a look at the entire thing so far. There were a few issues. We had the addition of the word John here, which actually cleared things up even more, which is nice. But then we had the strange use of day in this part of the section, verse 30, about whom, when it should have been for the sake of whom or on behalf of whom, so pro would have been the better preposition. And then we had nesciebam appear twice when we wanted pluperfect tenses. And then manifestaretur, when I believe we actually wanted a perfect tense verb. So that was a very strange choice of our translator here. None of the overall sense of the sentence, oh, not of the sentence, of the passage appears to have been lost, except perhaps right here. And even that's something that an English speaker might not understand very well. So the text hasn't done as well as Latin is perfectly capable of doing, nor has it done horribly bad. I think for this one, I would give my fake rating of, make sure the Greek is actually visible. Probably a B minus. No, B minus is kind of harsh. Just a plain old B. There we go. Thank you very much for joining me. I hope taking a look at this passage has been helpful for you. And I hope that you continue to join me as we move on to the next large paragraph of Chapter 1. Have a good day.